Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's cybersecurity session. Today, we're going to be talking about passwords and how to hack-proof your passwords. So we're picking up kind of where we left off last month if you were here on our hacker tactics webinar. If you haven't seen that webinar yet, it is available in our cybersecurity center. So if you go to cyberseniors.org/aura-cybersecurity, you should see a button that has all our videos, and you can check out any previous sessions we have done there. That said, let's jump into today's session. So today we're going to be talking about passwords, as I said. So we're going to start talking about why hackers are looking for passwords, what they do with them, what's the motive there, how hackers steal our passwords. And then we're going to talk about ways we can protect ourselves. So what makes a strong password, what makes a weak password, and how to use tools like password managers to keep our accounts more secure. Right, let's talk about passwords. So passwords are incredibly important, obviously. On average, Americans have 240 online accounts that require passwords, right? So we have a lot of places. We may not even, know how many accounts we have online. Sometimes we create accounts for things and we forget that we have them. So we have a lot of information stored online. And according to recent surveys, 53% of people rely solely on memory to manage their passwords, and 51% of people reuse the same passwords for work and personal accounts, and 23 million account holders use the password 123456. So there's a lot of people that are severely underprotected when it comes to their passwords. And when you have, some people who have upward of 240 online accounts and are using the same password for everyone, you can imagine access to one means access to pretty much all of them. So it does really present a huge risk to folks. So why do hackers want our passwords in the first place? Obviously, this may be pretty obvious, but hackers want to steal our passwords to make themselves money. Hackers are criminals, and they steal information to make themselves money. Sometimes, they may do this by holding your data for ransom and force you to pay them to give it back. So maybe they get access to your accounts and hold that information ransom. Other times they just want those passwords to be able to access your financial accounts, to just straight up transfer money to themselves. Or maybe, in cases that don't involve passwords, they may trick you into purchasing cryptocurrency, other things that they may do. But basically, they want the password so they can collect information on you. In the most simplest form, they want to use it so they can gain access to financial institutions and accounts, but they may also use it to gain access to other personal information, right? Imagine someone stealing your password for your social media accounts, getting access to your network and understanding your relationship to other people, and what kind of access that then gives them to hack other people who you're friends with, who you're family with, right? So there obviously is the direct reasons, but it also gives them access to a larger network of information that they can use against you and against your family and friends. Now, what puts you and your passwords at risk? So some things in our control, some things beyond our control, things like data breaches, unwittingly expose our passwords and login. So even if you have a super strong password, it can still be compromised if a company or organization is the victim of a data breach. Now, there are ways that we can, protect ourselves against this, be aware of these data breaches, get updates if our accounts have been breached, but a strong password may or may not really protect us in that case. Unfortunately, it can if there's a data breach, say on one account of ours, but we have different passwords on all our accounts, then it's just going to be contained to that one account, right? So that's when having these very strong passwords comes into play with that. Using weak or easily guessed passwords like password 123 or your loved one's birthday or pet's name, that puts you at risks, right? And if you reuse passwords on multiple accounts, as I said, that puts you at risk. Access to one account means access to all of them. And it may be a password that's as simple as, your Zoom account. That may not have that much sensitive information on it, but if that's the same password you use for your bank account, it presents a bigger problem. And oversharing on social media will help hackers guess your passwords, especially if you use one of those weaker passwords, like your loved one's birthday or your pet's name, and then you went on Facebook and posted a picture of your pet with its name, right? You can imagine how these things can be connected, and these hackers can be pretty unrelenting. So finding that information for them is really not that difficult and not a big deal. So that's how your passwords can be weak, but how do they steal passwords? How do they actually go about doing it? So the first kind of play that they have in terms of how they might do this is social engineering. So playing off of your emotions, essentially, right? Hackers can do things like impersonate trusted institutions like government bodies or banks, well-known companies, and they pretend to be those people and attempt to get information out of you, right? So they may send you an email posing as your bank and say, oh, someone attempted to log into your account. You need to change your password right away. You go and you click on a link and you type in, it says type in your old password. You type in your old password, type in a new password, but that was fake and you just given them the password to that account, right? So social engineering, you just give it straight to them, basically. Easy. Another way is that just guessing them, right? Again, if you have a really easy password, if you have a password that uses common passwords, common phrases, or public information that you may have on social media, or that even friends or family of yours might have on social media, they can use that to just straight up guess your password and gain access to your accounts. Data breaches, as we said, so breaching the data of a company to steal customer data. Hackers will target sites with vulnerable security practices and steal the account data of thousands or even millions of users at once. And this can include login credentials. It can also include credit card details, social security number. It runs the gamut. So hackers then, will advertise the stolen data dumps on illicit marketplaces like the dark web and sell them to other people who will buy them in order to make money off of you, right? And again, data breaches happen, quite frequently, hopefully on sites like your bank and stuff like that. They have pretty good security practices that shouldn't put that stuff at too much at risk. But if you have a site that has a lower security kind of threshold and you use the same password, that's where you're at, that presents a higher risk, right? So definitely with those kinds of things, varying those passwords. Buying it. So as I just said, when these data breaches happen, people who commit the data breaches don't often then take the passwords and then just use them themselves to target people. They'll have thousands of them, if not millions, and they'll go on the dark web and sell them to other people, for like $5, and then that person can make a lot of money off of them. So buying it on the dark web. Installing malware, so getting a virus on your computer. Now, the traditional way of doing this, is basically you click on something and you download it yourself onto your device, and they get access to your computer and can get access to all your data and information. And that might include passwords, and then they can, log into other accounts on there. Tech support scams. So, right, this may start with a pop-up coming on your screen saying you have a virus, or it may be an email, it may be a text, it may be a phone call. They tell you something's wrong with your computer. There may not be anything wrong with your computer. They get you to use an app that allows them to see your screen and see your computer, and then they get into your computer that way and take a look at all your information and steal your information. That, as I said, was really the most common one, especially for losses in terms of older adults in the year 2022. So a big one to look out for, especially if you see any pop-ups, things that don't seem right out of nowhere. people telling you they need to access your screen. Please be wary of that. Obviously, there might be cases where you do use that, but always take extra precaution when it comes to any tech support. We offer tech support. You can be wary of us too. If you need to, just practice that across the board so that you make it a habit. Outdated software. So if you're not updating your software, that makes your individual device more likely to be able to be breached. So there might be holes in your security because you haven't updated in 4 months. So anytime you get a software update, either on your antivirus or your device itself, or apps, especially really important apps like your banking apps and stuff like that, please do update them. That's a way in, and they can get your passwords and information that way. And phishing attacks, similar, right, to social engineering. Click on a link and get your information. And then fake websites or emails. So sending you bogus emails to reset your password or something like that. And then you give them your password and they do it that way. So those are some of the ways they steal your passwords. Obviously, as I said, some of these can be, protected against by having really strong varied passwords. Some of these things that may not be, necessarily the only thing that can protect us. There's other things that we can use, tools that we can use to store, give ourselves varied passwords, and let us know if we are involved in a breach. So if your password has been stolen and you're unaware of it so far, some warning signs that you may want to look out for, just to be aware of in case you've noticed any of these things. Now, any of these things may or may not be, a confirmation if your password has been stolen. But these are some things to look out for if you've noticed them, just to go double check and make sure everything is in order. So one, your usual password isn't working. So you're logging into your Facebook, you're typing in the same password over and over again, right? You've checked that caps lock isn't on. You've, tried your different passwords. Maybe you just did forget, but it's just not working. That may be a sign that someone has already gotten in there and changed your password on you and locked you out of your own account. So that's a sign. You just can't access your account right away. So again, you've been locked out. Someone else has changed it. Someone else has changed the settings so that your device isn't able to log in anymore. So someone's in your account that's not you doing that and blocking you out. You're notified that your password was changed. Now, this is kind of a double-edged sword, because you're notified your password has changed. That may mean that your password was in fact changed. It also might be like a phishing scam of someone saying your password has been changed, click here to change it again to fix it, right? So really be aware of these things. But yeah, you got a notification confirmed from the actual company you hold the account with, your account was changed. You see changes you didn't make. So on the account itself, if you are in the account, you see changes to address, you see changes to details. So say you're on social media, a post appears or messages are in your inbox going outward that you didn't send, right? Someone may be in there messing around. So you see changes that you yourself didn't make. You're told by a company that they've suffered a data breach, right? If a company says they suffered a data breach and your information has been compromised, your information has been compromised. So that's an easy one. Friends and family receive odd messages from you. This kind of goes in line with seeing changes. If you are hearing from friends and family, hey, did you send me this message? Seemed kind of off. Someone may be in your account sending messages on behalf of you. Again, just try to access your network in order to continue to kind of grow their network of people that they can scam. You get a message demanding a ransom to get an account back. So someone's in your account, they've stolen it, they've locked you out, and now they're going to make you pay to get it back. Your password's been compromised. Your phone or computer seems slower. So say someone has gone into your computer, installed malware, or is just in there messing around. This can slow down your devices, right? If there's too much going on it. So if it seems slower than usual, all of the sudden, it may mean that you have been hacked. Someone's gotten your password and gone in there. And you find your information on the dark web. Now, I don't know that you'd be perusing the dark web yourself, but your information is on the dark web. You can sometimes perform searches too to see if any of your information is on the dark web. So that would be a way of checking there that you can do that. Now, if hackers steal your password and break into your accounts, the consequences can be severe, right? Financial losses, as fraudulent purchases and transfers of money from your bank account. You know, almost 1/3 of identity theft victims lost over $10,000. So it can be major, and that can start with a stolen password. And it can take over 6 months and 100 to 200 hours of your time to discover, resolve, and recover all of the effects of an attack like this. So it can be really, really damaging, exhausting, stressful, time consuming, and traumatic. You know, can cause damage to your reputation, especially if they're using account to prey on others, right? They use you to get to other people to scam them. It can affect people in your network, not just you. So when we talk about cybersecurity, when we talk about security in our accounts, we have to remember that we're all in this together. It isn't just about us. You're not the only one affected by weak passwords, by sharing of information. It can really impact the people around you, especially people who are close to you, that then may be next on kind of the line in terms of the attacker's path. And identity theft, which can take years to resolve and recover from, obviously. So some of the worst consequences, you know, accessing your bank accounts, you know, creating accounts in your name because they've accessed information, all of those things. This can damage your credit score long term, making it difficult to get loans or even a job, and all of that. So it can be far reaching, obviously. You know, there's the simplest forms. They get into your account, they steal your money, that's it. But often these things go deeper, and once, you know, they're in, there's so much information that they can use to continue their scams, not only on you but others. So creating a strong password, right? We're not going to be using going forward passwords like 12345 or Skippy 123 exclamation mark. We're going to be using strong passwords, passphrases, things that have a lot of variable elements, and we're going to be using passwords, different passwords for each account, so that we make sure that we have the strongest defense possible. So do's when it comes to making a strong password: do make it unique, right? Don't use the same password across your accounts online, especially, you know, if you're going to be a little lazy, especially don't do it when it comes to your financial accounts. Make sure that those are unique, strong passwords at the very, very least. But you really should be doing this across everything. Make it long. Even if it doesn't seem like the craziest, most complicated password in the world, passphrases, right? Making it longer. It's going to be harder to guess because it's going to take longer time to break. So the longer the password, the better. Using a mix of characters, cases, and special characters and symbols, right? Most accounts that you'd create these days will have these sort of requirements, right? Has to be a minimum of 8 characters. Some are getting up to 10 these days, and then forcing you to use those mixed characters and cases. Those are there for a reason. They're trying to protect you. But those are kind of, at this point, really the bare minimum. You should honestly go even beyond that in terms of making sure your passwords are secure. Avoiding common substitutes. So that may mean, you know, using, I guess, a dollar sign instead of an S. So using common substitutes, not doing that. Don't follow easy keyboard paths, right? Q, W, E, R, T, Q, T, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't follow those kind of common keyboard paths that may come up, because if they're easy for you, chances are they're easy for someone else, right? Consider using a passphrase. So this kind of comes along with making it long. An easy way to make your password long is just to write out a sentence. There's kind of an example here of it. I like mint ice cream, using different characters, but it's a bit longer. Writing out a sentence, really, really random, because then it doesn't necessarily have to be that difficult to memorize, but it's long, and it's going to be harder to guess just by kind of the sake of it, it's long. Now, creating a strong password don'ts. Don't reuse the same password or similar variations of a single password. So even if you are changing your password, but you're just changing it by adding an exclamation mark at the end or capitalizing the front letter, but otherwise it's the same, that is the same thing. Those are easy things for hackers to go, okay, that exact password didn't work. Let me try adding these, small elements. That's really, really common. So if you're doing that, that's not enough variation in terms of your different passwords. Using obvious passwords, right, such as your date of birth, hometown, or pet's name, and especially things that we can find online on your Facebook, on your kid's Facebook, on your partner's Facebook, right? Again, using those common keyboard sequences, right, or easily guessed substitutes, passwords with those S's as dollar signs, or just using common passwords at all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pet name 1, 2, 3, exclamation mark. And don't write your passwords down on a piece of paper or store them in your web browser, or try to rely simply on memory techniques. Chances are you're not going to be able to memorize your passwords. And if you're using memory techniques to memorize passwords, that may be because they follow a pattern. So it makes it easier. If you're writing passwords down on a piece of paper, unless they are like securely in a safe that has a really great password on it in your house, if that piece of paper goes missing, you put it in your pocket, falls out of your pocket, then someone can find it. So it's not always the safest. And then storing them in your web browser. I'm sure we've all experienced this when we create a new account. Our web browser will ask us if we want to store that password. Tempting as it may be, we should avoid it because that's not necessarily as safe as it would be using a password manager. They're not encrypted to the same degree. And that means that anyone who gets your physical device, so if I stole your physical computer and we're able to get into it and I'm on your browser, then I have access to all of your passwords. And if you to boot saved, credit card information on there, I have all of that as well. So if you are creating passwords and you're going to be trying to remember them, how do you remember your passwords, right? If you're going to be doing this on your own, you're not going to be using a password manager. You're going to have to work to memorize these passwords. So a great way to try to memorize passwords is doing the thing of creating passphrases or combining random words to form a strong password. So a bunch of random words, making it longer, but words you can memorize, right? It doesn't have to be the most complicated thing in the world, like H257234 exclamation mark, right? It doesn't have to be that. As long as it's long, as long as it's random, that can make it stronger. So combining random words to form a strong password. Using those memorable long passphrases instead of overly complicated passwords, right? I like mint ice cream on a sunny day in September. Super long, pretty random. I don't think people are gonna guess that very easily. And it's probably going to be easier for you to memorize. Create passwords out of abbreviated song lyrics or quotes. So if you have a favorite quote, you can make a password that is the first letter of every word in that poem, as long as you have it memorized. And you can just do that, or you can create abbreviations, abbreviate the words down a bit. Create passphrases that includes words from different languages. If you do happen to speak a different language, go back and forth and write a sentence out that first word's in English, second word's in Spanish, whatever it might be, so that it again has that variation. And if you can't memorize them, there's really no need to. You can always store your passwords in a secure password manager. That is the best place to store your passwords, not in like a internet password notebook, as I have over here on the right. Using a password manager with a strong master password is really the best way you can do this. If you talk to any cybersecurity expert, this is going to be the thing they suggest because it's going to be safer than you doing it any other way. And also it just takes so much of the burden off of you. You don't have to worry about memorizing every single complicated password and creating 200 different passwords. So password managers are great. Aura has a great password manager, which can also warn you if your password is weak or has been leaked. For those of you who may not be as familiar with password managers, I'm going to have this nice lady on my screen explain them to you, explain how they work, explain why they are safe if you are not familiar or don't necessarily feel as comfortable with them.
It's the moment of truth. Have you been using the same weak password for 10 years or more? If so, you're seriously leaving yourself open to exploitation, and it's about time to upgrade your password game and learn all about the magic of a password manager. So today we'll take a close look at a rising cybersecurity practice that's become increasingly important in recent years, the password manager. Password managers allow you to store, generate, and manage all of your passwords in a fully encrypted account. In short, it's a safer way for you to conveniently store and manage complex and unique passwords for your various connected accounts. Without a password manager, you're forced to remember all of your own passwords, which often means people are reusing the same weak, easily guessable passwords, leaving you at high risk of exploitation. With a handy password manager, you'll only need to remember one master password, while the autosave and autofill features of your password manager provider ensures your connected accounts' credentials remain safe and secure. Most managers also allow you to store credit card information and secure notes. Password managers generate complex, secure passwords for new account logins and store the information in a highly encrypted, centralized environment. That means no more tedious typing of complex passwords you can't remember or weak passwords you've overused, and seamless logins for all your connected accounts. Many managers also allow secure password sharing for the inevitable Netflix freeloader in your life. We all have that one friend. Cross-platform support to your account is accessible on all browsers and devices, and multi-factor authentication to ensure your password remains as secure as possible. For more on password managers and the 7-step setup, head to our website and read our article. The link is just down in the description. But how do password managers actually work? Many password managers utilize a military-grade cipher to encrypt and decrypt data for the exclusive use of authorized parties. The type of encryption most commonly used by password managers, AES 256-bit, offers a level of encryption you'd find difficult to crack, even with unlimited resources at hand. To understand a password manager's functionality, it's important to understand that there are 3 major types of password managers that work in different ways: locally installed or offline, web-based or online, and stateless or token-based. Locally installed or offline password managers store passwords directly on your device. Passwords are kept in an encrypted file separate from the password manager itself, but on the same computing device. Some managers store every password in a separate encrypted file, greatly increasing the security, but this depends on the provider. By its nature, offline managers can't be hacked. If you keep that specific device always offline, then there's no way to access it unless it's physically pried from your tightly closed fist. But you should know there are a few flaws with this type of password manager. The first is using them on multiple devices. So there is only one location, and somehow you've got to sync other devices with that one vault, which usually means you'd have to have your locally installed password manager online. And this means it potentially becomes vulnerable to third parties. Web-based or online password managers are by far the most common type of manager, and store your passwords in the cloud, almost always on your provider's server, meaning they're accessible from anywhere at any time without the need to install the password manager software on each device. But how do you keep these passwords shielded from the provider themselves? Any reputable, trustworthy password manager provider includes zero-knowledge technology as part of their service, meaning your passwords are encrypted before being sent to their servers. You should also know that this means that your passwords will be vulnerable to access attempts by third parties around the clock. Online password managers are often paid services, but at lower rates, they won't break the bank. These providers usually have reliable 24/7 customer service to assist in case of any password emergencies. Lastly, stateless or token-based keyword managers use a local piece of hardware, such as a USB flash drive, to house a key that unlocks a particular account. These managers don't employ password vaults, but rather generate new passwords every time you log in. And because there is no database of information, these managers don't require synchronization and are considered safer since there are no place for a hacker to find all of your passwords. Unlike online password managers, token-based managers are often free and open source. It's worth mentioning, we wouldn't recommend this type of manager for amateur users, since customer support will be found exclusively through forums and knowledge bases, rather than dedicated customer support staff. And on top of that, you would need a SIM card, reader, or a USB stick to actually generate tokens. And there's your crash course on Password Managers 101. In a world where it's become increasingly important to be mindful of everyday cybersecurity threats and do more to protect your privacy, information, and data. Password managers can be a hugely beneficial, safe, easy to use, and low-cost way to keep your information better protected than ever before. All you have to do is remember one password to rule them all, and let the password manager do all the work.
And just to recap, sort of what we were saying about password managers, how you use them. So you choose a password manager that's right for you. That might be Aura, that might be another one. You may already have one, but look for an application that works across all of your devices and the browsers that you use. One that you can use both on your phone, your tablet, and your computer, depending on what you have, so that you can have them all stored in one convenient account. And then what you need to do is just create a really strong master password, right? So how these work is that you create one password. You can think of a password manager as like this vault. All your other passwords are inside. You just need that one code to get in, and then all the other ones are encrypted. So create a really strong master password. And then when you're doing it, always use your password manager. So once you have it, make sure that you're always using it. Save all your passwords in there, use it through it. That's the best way to keep everything across the board safe, is to make sure that you're using it consistently with your accounts. And again, tools like Aura not only allow you to store it, create new passwords, but tell you when an account may have been breached, so that you can go ahead and have that password changed right away. So create strong passwords. Again, if you can swing it, and if you want to use that password manager across the board, if you ask cybersecurity experts, it's going to be the main thing that they'll say to protect your passwords is the best way to do it. So that kind of concludes that for today. We will open up to questions, but obviously if you have more questions on this topic after today, you can always call us toll free at Cyber Seniors at 844-217-3057, or visit us online at cyberseniors.org. And you can always visit our cybersecurity center, cyberseniors.org/aura-cybersecurity. That's where you'll be able to find this video after today's session, all of our cybersecurity blogs that we have at Aura that go over a lot of the topics we've been going over in more depth and written out, if that's more your style. And you can also access discounted Aura plans through us at aura.com/cyberseniors.